So I think that we really all need to understand that we as young people have our priority to break generational cycles. That for too long in America, people who may have looked like us, who may have acted like us, may have come from places like us, we've been counted out. Young people as a whole, no matter what you look like, have been counted out of the conversation. And so if you can take that time to educate yourself, read a book, listen to a podcast like this one, you are taking steps to not only bettering your life, but also breaking through barriers for people to come.
Malik's First Job Podcast, here to answer any questions that y'all ask. Financial literacy and resources, parents and young people becoming bosses, CEOs, future leaders, entrepreneurs, conferences and boardrooms getting sponsors secured. If you want generational wealth, Brooklyn's own Kerwin Phillip with information to help. Malik's First Job Podcast, Malik's Podcast, Brooklyn's own Kerwin Phillip, Kerwin Phillip. Malik's First Job Podcast, Brooklyn's own Kerwin Phillip. Generational wealth.
Yes, greetings, everyone. How you doing? Welcome to another episode of the Malik's First Job Podcast, where we speak about leadership, entrepreneurship, and financial literacy for parents and teens. Today, we have the honor of having the incredible Elijah Lee. Now, Elijah is a 14-year-old community activist and public speaker who is an advocate for children and is also an ordained minister. In the first grade, Elijah learned about one of his classmates experiencing child abuse, and he sought out to help her, seek out the help she needed to go through her situation. After learning of the power in marching from historical leaders like Martin Luther King and Congressman John Lewis, Elijah organized his first annual children's march for child abuse at the age of 10. Elijah also serves as a public speaker on issues of child abuse, racism, resilience, and youth empowerment. Elijah's activism led him to be honored with the designation of Marvel Hero on the Marvel Heroes Project that you can watch on Disney+. It's episode 2, The Incredible Elijah. Elijah is also the founder of Hear Our Voices, which is a nonprofit which is centered around youth topics. Elijah was also featured on The Kelly Clarkson Show, People Magazine, The Week Junior, and is also featured in the Black Panther comic book, issue 24. Now, if I was to read through all the awards that Elijah has received, we'll be here for like another 2 hours, right? So we're going to kind of touch on some of them that he's received recently. But when he's not out doing, when he's not out saving the world or saving young people, Elijah enjoys traveling, studying justice initiatives, and spending time with his family. So let's go ahead and give this young man a round of applause, Mr. Elijah Lee. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing well, and you?
I'm good. Thank you for taking the time to come out and speak with us today.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Yes, sir. So tell us, I know I mentioned it in the introduction, but tell us what led you to get involved in youth activism.
Absolutely. So I think that, initially I had my friend who told me a little bit about their abuse and what they were experiencing. And then, as a first grader, I hadn't at any point in time recognized the impact that this was having. I hadn't even recognized the problems that our world still faces. As my activism has grown, I have begun to dilly-dally in a couple of other issues, from gun violence to racism, gender discrimination, the poverty gap, the wage gap in America, et cetera, et cetera. And in that time, I learned so much about being an activist, but I think about it and it all goes back to that one friend. And, learning about all that has happened in our world, all that has gone on in our world, all that continues to go on in our world. I think that there was a part of me that couldn't sit silent any longer. There was a part of me that couldn't just go by with my life with the understanding that everything was going on around me. And I didn't have a perfect life. I was raised by a single parent. We come from a low income community. However, at the end of the day, I was surrounded by love and support. And I wanted to use that love and support and spread it as far as I possibly could. And so learning that I could do something, learning that there is something that needs to be done, I couldn't help but do it.
Okay. So how did, I guess, from that one issue with your classmate, what steps did you take to try to bring awareness around the different issues that you came across?
When it came down to that specific classmate and specifically the issue of child abuse, I decided I wanted to lead a march. I found that the problem regarding child abuse is not necessarily that people don't know it exists, is that they don't have the resources to be able to fight it. It's that they don't have the resources to recognize it. Also, child abuse is one of those things that we don't want to talk about. It's one of those things that it's a lot easier to turn our backs to. It's a lot easier to, close our doors to. And when we look at other issues such as racism and gender discrimination, they are so blatant. They are so in your face that you have to almost willfully ignore them. Whereas when it comes to the issue of child abuse, unless you're around it every single day, it's really easy to forget about it. It's really easy to just leave those people behind because you don't see them every day. They don't see them on the news every night. And so with that, I decided to lead a child abuse awareness march. If this wasn't going to get the world talking, it would at least get my community talking. And even as I look to some of the recognition that you mentioned earlier, I never did any of it because I wanted to be on Marvel. I did it and I found so much reward in it because that is only spreading that message out there more, right? People are now beginning to have conversations regarding child abuse. And I think after that march, that kind of showed people, especially that our young people have not come to play. It showed our world that our young people are bold and we are resilient, that we will continue to make vital change in America. And I think that simple, thought that crossed people's minds, I think that opened doors for myself and many other young people in my community to start getting involved about issues that we were more passionate about or even passionate about at all.
Wow. So what kind of response did you get from that initial march?
I got an overwhelming response of just support. I grew up in a very small community. So as a first grader, I don't think there's more than 50 people in my town. So when I saw 200 people there, I was just freaking out, to even a 10-year-old, 200 seems like 2 million. So, and plus I didn't know that many people existed in North Carolina. It was such a small community. I could go to school with someone and then 10 minutes later, I could see them walking in my local grocery store. So it was such a small community, but to see so many people all come together, and there was also a level of unity. I think that it's really important, especially when we're talking about finances, that we recognize the gap that we oftentimes see in people. We oftentimes see a class divide, which leads to a race divide and a gender divide. However, there you saw everyone. You saw people that were low economic. You saw people that were a little bit richer. You saw people that were Black, that were white. You saw our women, our men. Everyone came together, not only to recognize child abuse, but I think to support our young people. And I think that's such a powerful message to let other young people know that you may not always see yourselves in history books, but know that you are history in the making.
Wow. That's a powerful message right there. Very, very powerful. So what kind of response did you get from your classmates? Like when they see you doing all this great stuff,
So I guess that's the one thing that I love about working with young people is that they keep it real with you, right? They don't sugarcoat it. They're not gonna act like you're some big shot now. I came back from being on the Mars Hill project and they followed me in school and whatever. And the next day, we returned, no cameras, we're clean, and everyone's just like, so what's for lunch today? And I'm like, yo, I just brought cameras into the school. And they're like, okay. And so it was just it was such an interesting experience that I truly just love my friends for. My friends are incredibly supportive. My classmates are incredibly supportive. But I think they also keep me very, very humbled and keep it very down to earth, which is probably extremely helpful now looking in the past of it all.
Right. So talk about that Marvel project. I guess, how did that come about?
So that started as one day we got a call from our local chief of police, and we're really close. I work really hard to work with local law enforcement to kind of bridge those connections to do what I can to rebuild what may have been lost over time. And we became really close to our chief of police. He's someone that currently serves on my board for Hear Our Voices. He's someone that I truly just see as family, quite frankly.
Okay.
And we get a call and he says, "Hey guys, there's this lady from New York calling to like interview you guys." And we're like, okay. So we call them back and they're like, "It's not gonna be anything big, maybe just a commercial on Disney."
Okay.
And then initially, I was 11, 12 at the time, and I was freaking out. Anything is anything, again,
Right.
small town community. So this type of stuff doesn't happen to people like me.
Right.
And even on Disney Channel, you don't see people like me. You don't see people who look like me. You don't see people who maybe act or talk like me. So this was massive for me. And so we answer the call. They do some filming. And I know for a fact that my mom and maybe like a mentor of mine knew, but I didn't know until they had a mass reveal that I was going to be on the Marvel Show project. And that was the reveal that was in the episode. I got to speak at the Lincoln Memorial, which was extremely symbolic to me, giving my version of the I Have a Dream speech. Really talking about like, I have a dream that one day our young people will understand that it's time that we rise to the occasion. So that was such a crazy experience for me. There was definitely parts that they cut out of me like crying and like just bawling out. I couldn't believe it. My brother surprised me. It was an overwhelming amount of emotions, but it was so just amazing. It was honestly, there's no better word to say but fun. It was a fun experience that I just truly enjoyed.
Yeah, because when I first met you a couple of years ago at the Richmond Children's Business Fair, I think the one last year, and you told me about it. I watched the episode then, and then I watched it again today to prepare, for the interview. That way, it's fresh in my head. And you can tell, around that moment, it was like a lot of emotion.
Yeah,
A lot of
yeah,
a lot of joy, and you're truly surprised by it.
yeah. I was, I
Yeah.
was.
Yeah. So if when you get a chance, go to Disney Plus, episode 2. It's the Marvel Heroes Project. They have, I forgot how many episodes there are, but there's quite a few. But the one with the Incredible Elijah is episode 2. So definitely go and check it out. Now, what do you feel is the biggest issue or the biggest problem facing young people today?
That is such a heavy question because I feel like there is so much in our world today that really impacts our young people. Quite frankly, my mom and I, we oftentimes have these like very deep philosophical conversations, which my sisters are probably tired of.
Right.
But we oftentimes can't help but go back to money. You know,
Okay.
when we live in a place like America, a place that runs on money, quite
Right.
frankly, we would love to sit here and say that America runs on love and care and empathy, but it runs on
Right.
money. You have money, you have power. You don't need to be voted in. You just need to have $1 billion. Um,
Right.
so I think that the more our young people can do to educate ourselves about money, the more our young people can do to educate ourselves about the world of money and entrepreneurship in America, I think that is us taking steps to be better, you
Right.
know? And money filters into many things, right? We know that despite African Americans making up less of the percentage of Americans, we make up
Right.
over 58% of the poverty population in America,
Wow.
which is a scary statistic, you
Right.
know? And we're only followed closely by other people of color in America. So I
Mhm.
think that we really all need to understand that we as young people have our priority to break generational cycles.
Right.
That for too long in America, people who may have looked like us, who may have acted like us, may have come from places like us, we've been counted out. Young people as a whole, no matter what you look like, have been counted out of the conversation. And so if
Right.
you can take that time to educate yourself, read a book, listen to a podcast like this one, you are taking steps to not only bettering your life, but also breaking through barriers for people to come. I mentioned
Mhm.
earlier that we may not always see ourselves in history books, but each of us is history in the making. And if we
Right.
really want to inspire history, if we really want to bring that change, I think that's going to start with us educating ourselves, but then also acting on it. There's
Mhm.
no point in having knowledge if you don't use it to the best of your ability. So if you know how to start a nonprofit, if you know what to start a nonprofit about, start that nonprofit. You know, if you know what you're passionate about and you have a business idea, do what you can to start that business. We have no time to waste. And so I think that's something that I really want other young people to understand.
Wow, wow, wow. You know, like I said, you're a 14-year-old talking, about topics that a lot of adults don't even want to address,
Yeah.
and you're speaking about mobilizing young people. Um, and I know for a fact that, the younger generations are the ones that's going to inherit, the world once, us older folks pass it down to you all. And, it's very important that, you all learn these lessons early. But oftentimes, like, the average 14-year-old is worrying about video games and sports and stuff like that. How do you get them engaged in these type of topics?
So I think that there's so much power in that, even those things that we may seem as, silly or out of the
Mhm.
conversation actually are really massive marks. If you have a kid that's interested in video games,
Right,
then maybe we can have a video game that is centered around social justice, right? Or maybe we can have a video game that has true and equal representation, since that's oftentimes a problem, right?
right,
So I think and maybe that's a problem that we've all had as a society is that too often we look at things that may be seen as childish and we oftentimes are quick to neglect them. And
okay,
this will force our young people out of the conversation. If we continue to do this, we cannot get mad at them for not being active in our communities because we have to be able to include them. We have to be able to go to things that touch their hearts and their spirits so they get inspired. For me, I had a love and a passion for history. I was learning about King Tut when I was 7 years old, just digging into thousands of Egyptian books. Those are things that
wow,
inspired me.
right,
However, that's very different from my sister. That's very different from my brothers. And so
right,
each and every one of us to really become the family that we are, to really want to get involved in activism, to really want to be able to get involved in a very grassroots movement to bring young people to the front line. It took each of us finding that passion area in a different place. Um,
okay,
so, to our video gamers out there, to our readers out there, to those that like to draw, to those that like
mhm,
to organize, to those that like to lead, there is a place for you at this movement. There's a place for you at this table. I can't tell you how many times I've been in a committee room and we needed some amazing posters, but everyone there were just leaders. Everyone there
okay,
just liked history, but we needed posters. We needed a design. We needed a way to get people in. So there's
hmm,
always a place for anyone at the table. And I think really showing our young people that can get them inspired.
wow, wow, wow. I like that. I like that. So tell us about your nonprofit. Hear Our Voices.
So, Hero Voices is simply dedicated to the empowerment of all young people. And we do this by maybe funding or giving advice, supplying any resource that a young person may need to simply get involved in their community. So, for example, a young person could come to us and say, the violence in places like Richmond is out of hand. It is out of control and it needs to be
Right.
addressed. We would then take it upon ourselves that you could write us up a little proposal to kind of get that idea
Hmm.
and if you want to lead a march in Richmond, we're going to do everything we can to get you involved in local law enforcement so they know you're doing it. So it's the right way, the legal way, making sure they can't get you in any trouble for anything. We're going to get you
Right.
involved with other local Richmond activists to get that word out, to have that word of mouth. We're going to help you with maybe having a social media site to get that word out as well. We're going to do whatever we can to help you in your event, just so that you understand that, you have people here to support you. Um, in the choosing of our board, I want it to be really, really specific. I have people that are educators there. I have, like I said earlier, a local law enforcement who is on that board. I have people in
Right.
nonprofit experience on that board. I have people that
Right.
work in our legal system as well. So we have so many different ideas coming at our young people. And then myself, who is a young person, right? I've been
Right.
to middle school. There's sometimes I've been on meetings and I've heard the announcements. So I
Mhm.
understand that. I'm with you there. Um,
Right.
so we're able to all come together and we're simply there to help our young people and get involved in any movement or anything they want. Whether you are simply helping people get educated about finance or you are helping in racism or police brutality, helping bring awareness of gender discrimination in America, whatever it is, we're here to just raise you up and make your voice heard.
Wow. Okay. Okay. Great. 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 So, do you have anything coming up in the upcoming weeks or months?
So I do have a couple of projects still approaching. Many things surrounding safety, many things surrounding our students, especially. I've also recently been working with our local legislation to really bring those voices there. I have learned recently that there's a lot of power in lawmaking, so much so that I want to grow up and become a congressman myself. And
Okay.
so I understand that some people may not like politicians, but I do encourage other young people to get involved and educated about that system because that's where we can really make some amazing change, you know? And I hope that if anyone ever has an idea about anything, you can are able to contact your local legislator, contact your local activist, and really get involved to make your voices heard in that standpoint as well.
Right. Wow. Wow. So, matter of fact, do you know offhand like how old you have to be to become a congressperson?
So the Congress gap, I'm not exactly sure. I know you have to become 32 to be president. Um, there has been a recent movement across the country to lower the voting age for local elections to 16. So that is something that's going to be on the ballot. I think that for Virginia to get involved, to be run for delegate or senator, I believe you have to be 26. I
26. Okay.
believe. I
Okay.
believe.
I think you're ready right now. So.
Well, I think that our young people have such a powerful voice. If it was up to me, our young
Right.
people would run for school board.
Right.
Just because those are people who are presiding over the schools, or our young people, they know what our schools need the most. Um,
Right.
but even if you just want to get involved on a local level, if you see a problem in your school, go to your local school board, call up your supervisor, and say, "Hey, like our voices need to be heard. Tell me what
Right.
to do."
Right.
And things like that are really, really powerful. So shout out to y'all.
Yeah. Great. Great. So now, I also heard that you recently received several awards. I think you were recognized by the Metropolitan Business League here in Richmond, as well as I know last week during the Shark Tank presentation that you were also awarded something as well. Can you speak about that?
Absolutely. So I was so honored to be awarded by the Metropolitan Business League Youth Entrepreneur of the Year, just because that is such a massive accomplishment for me. And I went to the board meeting, I think it was like a week later, and said, I hope that this award is not to me, but I hope that is to all of us.
Right.
Um, and the work that we're doing and the work that we're going to continue to do, I think that it shows that we're doing great work. And I can't wait to have more people involved, more people on board. And regarding the recent donation by the Metropolitan Business League and Truist Bank during the Shark Tank, which was $5,000, is also just crazy to me. Um, Truly, as I grow older, I am still learning money, and so
Right.
$5,000 still seems like a million to me.
Right.
And that can go such a long way, right? I'm looking forward to helping other young people get involved. Unfortunately, again, money has a massive play in marching and getting involved and using your voice. So anything I can do to help fund other activists, anything I can do to maybe help, pay for a reservation of a park one day so you can lead a march. Those are types of things that I love to do. I'm definitely also looking forward to getting involved in other grassroots campaigns going on in Richmond, surrounding numerous different topics and seeing what I can do to help support them there as well. So I'm just so, so, so grateful.
Wow. Wow. Like I say again, man, you're doing some amazing things.
Thank you.
And the world needs more young people like yourself.
Thank
Because
you.
again, seeing you, I know that if I had when I'm ready to pass the baton, I feel very comfortable handing it to you. 'Cause I know you're going to take care of it, and you'll keep progressing and moving forward, right? So,
Thank
for
you.
those that are watching and want to support you in any kind of way, how can they reach out to you?
So you can simply go to me through my website, which is incredibleelijah.com. That has my email, all my social media there. I work really hard to stay involved on my social media, so feel free just to contact me through there, along with my email. I do handle all my emails as well. So just feel free to contact me, get involved. I promise I will respond to you all. But yeah, always reach out. We're always here. I hope that other young people see me and the people that I work with as a service. We're here to simply help you all get involved. We're here to help your voice get heard. And I think that's really what this movement is about, is that once you get to a place of understanding, once you can get somewhat in the room, you help get others there too. And so I hope that other young people will be able to join the board and get involved.
Yes, yes, yes. Definitely go to the website. You see it right here on your screen. incredibleelijah.com. Make a donation. See how you could probably volunteer, donate your time. If money's an issue, find some kind of way to pour into this young man, because what he's doing is much needed in our community. Not just in our community, the world needs the work that he's doing. And he's doing a phenomenal job so far. We want to continue to support him. All right. Anything else you want? Matter of fact, what's your what message would you want to give to young people before we close out?
I think the message I want to give is that when one falls, we all fall. But when one rises, we all rise. And I say this because when we look at our world, there's enough division, there's enough negativity, there's enough hate in our world. So it's going to really take us all to come together, to be able to lift one another, to be able to support one another, for us all to be able to rise. I'm so grateful for this opportunity, and I look forward to seeing so many young people get involved in the next couple of days.
Yes. And I think with that, we're going to close out. Thank you again, Mr. Incredible Elijah, for joining us today. And like I said, I look forward to seeing, the great things that you do moving forward.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
Yes, sir. All right. Thank you all for joining us here today on the Malik's First Job podcast. Catch us next week. Y'all take care. Peace. Malik's First Job, Financial Principles for Teens, is an excellent resource to get your children started on understanding the basics of financial literacy. This book, which is set in Brownsville, Brooklyn, about a young man who gets his first job and then shortly thereafter sits down with his dad to learn how to manage his money. There are several topics that are covered within this work, such as paying yourself first, disciplining your spending, knowing the difference between an asset and a liability, creating multiple sources of income, as well as the importance of being charitable. So again, if you want to get your children started on understanding finance and becoming responsible adults, we highly recommend that you purchase the book, Malik's First Job, Financial Principles for Teens. So please visit maliksfirstjob.com to get more information. Peace. Today is a great day to start your own podcast. Whether you're looking for a new marketing channel, have a message you want to share with the world, or just think it would be fun to have your own talk show, podcasting is an easy, inexpensive, and fun way to expand your reach online. Buzzsprout is hands down the easiest and best way to launch, promote, and track your podcast. Your show can be online and listed in all the major podcast directories like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google products, and more within minutes of finishing your recording. Podcasting isn't hard when you have the right partners, and the team at Buzzsprout is passionate about helping you succeed. Join over 100,000 podcasters already using Buzzsprout to get their message out to the world. Let's create something together. Follow the link in the show notes and let Buzzsprout know that we sent you, and that will get you a $20 Amazon gift card if you sign up for a paid plan and help support our show. Thank you very much, and let's be great podcasting together. Peace.
Generational wealth.